The rules just changed and millions are on the hook. This one, ladies and gents, is going to be an interesting one, somewhat dystopian in nature, because the UK government has, and well, they haven't announced it, but it's been announced by the UK media. They actually use the word confirmed. It's been confirmed. They have now announced something which is quite disturbing, actually. Now, remember a while back when we talked about all the CO2 stuff that was going to be coming down the line, and I said, did you watch the movie In Time with Justin Timberlake? And I talked about those different zones, and I said, in the future, when they push through all the 15-minute cities and everything else, you're going to see these zones. It won't be a movie anymore. It's going to be real life. Well, remember how we talked about the different stages of how that would occur? And one of them was tracking into vehicles. Now, we already have black boxes and things like that for some insurance companies to lower premiums, although, does it really? I don't think so. Well, the UK government has now put this plan in place where they say they're not going to be doing it yet. They want to trust the people first before they have to resort to this measure. But in effect, what they've announced is the first stage of this today, which is exactly what I said, 2 or 3 years ago would be stage one, and they would screw over all the EV vehicle owners, electric vehicle owners. And what did I talk about in that video? I said that, they're going to come up with all these. In fact, let's just talk about what that benefit was that they said for owning an electric vehicle. We'll give some context as we go through to talk about what this new announcement is. But it's exactly what you can guess. It's worse than what I said. There's new taxes and there's all this new stuff coming. But hold on, let me just bring this up. So the fuel. Okay, this is how they sold it. Remember, lower running costs. They said it would be cheaper electricity versus petrol. And what's actually happened now? Let's show you this on the screen. Britain is paying the highest electricity prices in the world as these net zero costs rise. So yes, the UK is paying the highest electricity costs in the world. What was another one they said? They said, well, there was two that they said which are accurate. Lower maintenance, less due to fewer moving parts, no engine oil, no exhaust, no clutch. That's true. We'll put those two to the side. But everything else that they promised has been a lie. So they said that there will not be any taxes or policy sort of charges for EV owners for at least the next decade. You remember they said that? At least the next decade. And yet here we are, years down the line. It's not a decade down the line. It's just a few years. So remember they said as well, no road tax. So this was the VED for EVs. They said there'll be no road tax. What's changed there? No London congestion charge. Well, that changed. That was the whole point, to make the air cleaner, and that's why EVs didn't have to pay it. Well, now they have to pay it. So they got scammed there. Exemption from clean air ULEZ zones. That still stands, but they are looking, I've seen the policies, they're looking to change that. So you would pay in ULEZ. Fuel duty as well. This was another one. And this is the biggest scam that they're pushing. In fact, we'll talk about that in a moment, because this is the biggest scam they are pushing at the moment. Clean air in cities, that's not true. We actually did the test, you remember, the PM 2.5. It isn't cleaner. All these universities have done it. Oxford University has done it. It is not cleaner. The air is not cleaner in the cities, but these politicians are making a fortune. And then the energy security scam, or claim, they said that if you buy an EV, that then you'll be able to generate electricity domestically. That doesn't make any sense. By you owning and buying an EV, that somehow the government would be able to generate electricity domestically. It doesn't make sense, but people fell for that one. The UK would become energy independent. Okay, no, that's not true either. In fact, we're losing energy, not gaining it. Can't even connect all the renewables. They didn't think to put the infrastructure in place to connect it beforehand. So all these renewables are just sat there not connected. And then the other one, they said this will cushion the UK from global oil price shocks. Nonsense. Whoever fell for that, whoever came up with that line, they must have thought the British public was stupid, because we haven't even created any new oil fields in the UK anyway. So the whole thing was absolute madness. But here was the CCZ, the London Congestion Charge. As of the exemption ended in October 2021. So it didn't even, this was 4 years back now that it ended. So that they must pay the congestion charge just like petrol or diesel cars. So that was that. Now ULEZ is the one that they're still exempt for now, but it's about to change very shortly. Now that we've covered all this, we've got to go into a little bit more context. But today's sponsor, we've got to do a sponsor, ladies and gents. Here it is. So gold prices are hitting new highs again this year, as we all know. But what if there were a way to make your gold work for you rather than it sitting idle or paying fees to store it? And that's exactly what Monetary Metals is doing. They've created a groundbreaking way for clients to earn up to a 4% yield on their gold. This is paid in gold. So no selling your metal, no converting it into cash. You simply earn more ounces of gold over time. Monetary Metals runs a transparent marketplace that leases gold to businesses that use it productively, like jewelers and refiners. So they lend it to the industry, basically. The returns from those leases go straight back to clients paid in gold. It's also insured, something to be aware of. It's a simple, sound, and fully asset-backed model designed for people who understand real value and want to grow their wealth in honest money. Monetary Metals is all about building real, sustainable wealth in the world's most trusted asset, gold. So whether you own gold or you're looking to start, you can fund an account with your existing metal or you can buy through them at less than 1% over spot. So you can join thousands of investors who are already earning a real return in gold every month. Just visit monetary-metals.com/NMW to learn how you can earn a yield in gold, which is also paid in gold. So let's get back then with this new scam, I'm calling it. Rachel Reeves has just announced that electric vehicle drivers are now going to pay actually she hasn't announced it, but it's been announced to the media. They're going to pay 3 pence per mile. This is going to add hundreds of pounds a year to electric vehicle owners. And this is where the scam comes in, that I'm calling it a scam. She's saying it's because the revenues are they're dropping so much. We're losing all the revenues from the fuel duty, which is exactly what I said years ago would happen. But I said it won't happen until 2028 to 2029. Well, I did the numbers today. I did the calculations. Are you ready for this? So in the financial year 2024, the category of energy taxes, this is fuel duty on petrol, diesel, and other road fuels, raised about £24.6 billion, which is pretty normal, 24.6 billion. Okay, so for this year then, 2025 year, the OBR, which is the Office for Budget Responsibility, forecasts that fuel duty receipts are going to be 24.4 billion. So she's saying there's this massive drop, significant drop. It's dropped from 24.6 billion to 24.4 billion. This is a scam. She's saying that she needs to raise all of these billions now from electric vehicle drivers because they're not paying fuel duties anymore. And she said it's not fair. They need to pay their fair share. She keeps using this word about fair share. Pensioners need to pay their fair share. Savers need to pay their fair share. Everybody seems to have to pay their fair share except the government. So it's complete nonsense, this whole thing. So this is going to be announced on November 26th. So you'll be charged 3 pence per mile on top of other road taxes. Now, what I thought was interesting was how they're going to track this. We'll come to that later. This means hundreds of pounds a year for the average driver. The Treasury will make the move amid falling fuel duty revenue as people move to electric cars. Up to 6 million people are set to be driving EVs by the time this new tax arrives. Ministers have framed the move as it's only fair because drivers of petrol cars pay £600 a year on average in fuel duty. They also urge that it's different from traditional pay-per-mile schemes because a fee will be taken each year on estimated travel and no mass electronic monitoring at this stage. So what they want to do is they want to trust the public, they're saying. They're going to trust the public to tell the government their honest miles. But if you don't think you can do it right, then there can be tracking systems for you. They're going to track them all anyway. They're electric vehicles. They're basically giant computers on wheels. That's what they are. But the approach opens the door for wholesale adoption of pay-per-mile taxation for all cars, it states here, raising questions about how this scheme is going to be enforced. They have all these ideas. There's going to be of these tracking systems in the vehicles. Says that it can be done via tracking your mobile phone. This is just out of the 1984 playbook at the minute. How the tax is going to work then? They said that they've been looking at this for years and that it will be applied to all cars eventually, but at the moment they're just looking at EVs. The new element is being described as VED Plus and being framed as a way to get drivers of green cars to pay their share. EV drivers will be asked to estimate the number of miles initially. And if the driver does not, this bit's funny. So if you don't drive the amount that you estimate and you pay for, so you estimate it and then you pay that amount up front. They said that if you get it wrong and you don't drive that many miles, then you don't get a refund. The money is just going to go to next year as on account. So you can tell this is about money. It's not about green energy and it's not about all the other stuff they're talking about. But this is the other one. Drivers of hybrid cars, which are powered by both petrol and electricity, will also have to pay the charge. The move will raise the Treasury an estimated $1.8 billion. So again, what did I just say? It was, let's just bring it up again, 24.6 down to 24.4 billion. So this is 0.2 billion. So 200 million is what they have dropped. 200 million. And they're saying that they need to raise 1.8 billion to account for it. It's a lie, and they don't put the figures in there, so the public doesn't know. Not many people are going to do what I do and go to the, figure it all out. So it's a complete lie. They want to raise 1.8 billion when they've only lost 200 million. This is all about tax. A Treasury spokesman declined to comment on some of the questions that were raised here. The Chancellor said, the Chancellor warned that all will have to contribute to help repair Britain's roads and finances. Well, we already pay a road tax. Why do we have to pay this for the roads? And by the way, the road tax doesn't even go to the roads. I don't know if you're aware of that. That's why people always say, well, why are the roads, Neil, in such a bad condition? I don't understand it. The roads are looking terrible. Yeah, it's because the money doesn't go to the roads. It goes into a big pot and just sort of disappears. Here's the other one. It raises the possibility that drivers could in future be made to prove how many miles they've travelled, such as with photographs or mileage counters. This is another thing they're saying. Who's going to enforce it? The DVLA, the Driver Vehicle Licensing Agency. It says that they already oversee the VED, which are cameras that scan number plates and patrol with car details checked against a central database showing who has paid the fee. Okay. A wider package of measures to support the EV sector is also being worked on, with the government still wanting to incentivize people to adopt electric cars. Is that a joke? Is that an absolute joke? There was another statement, this was in the Commons today. They said they didn't want to comment on it, but we will look at further support measures to make owning electric vehicles more convenient and more affordable. This is what they actually said. So they're putting this new tax on, and they're looking at further support measures to make... it's like, if you heard the expression robbing Peter to pay Paul, it's sort of like, it doesn't make any sense on any of this stuff that they are actually doing. This is just madness. It really is. Who's going to get punished the most then with all of this? It's going to be tradesmen. It's going to be delivery drivers. It's going to be rural families, farmers again. Basically anyone who has to drive as part of their job is going to get absolutely hammered if they have electric vehicles, which some people will. I don't think a lot of farmers, let's just take them off the list. Most farmers, I think, are on diesel with their Land Rovers and stuff like that. But some of these other people, they're going to get hit pretty badly. They really are. The other one then, which is sort of connected to this, I thought this was interesting. This is not a brand new article. It's been out for a few days here, but they're looking to raise this new boiler tax. Then, just look at this guy. What a buffoon! Boiler tax to rise to £100 as Miliband pushes heat pumps. The thing that is absolutely shocking about this is that not just the fact that they're trying to incentivize people to get heat pumps instead of boilers. I'll stick with the boiler. But the crazy thing is, the target was, I've got to tell you this because you won't believe it, the target was 600,000 boilers this year. That they want to install 600,000. Sorry, say it again. 600. This is the thing with live. You can't go back and do a cut. That's why pre-recorded videos are good. But anyway, 600,000 heat pumps was the target for this year, next year. Do you know what they installed this year out of the 600,000? It was 30,000. That's 5%. That's all they installed. They just installed 5% of their target. Can you even comprehend that? They installed 5% of the target of these heat pumps. They're trying to force the free market into adopting something that the free market doesn't want to adopt. Everything's got their place, right? But that's what the free market is there for. Everything has its place. But trying to force them on with these taxes to stop people getting boilers when people want boilers because they're on gas and things like that, or they might be on oil, etc. There's even I saw an article today about wood burners. I've said it over and over again. They're coming after your wood burners. They said that there's going to be these new fines of £300 if you're burning if your wood is wet, basically, in one of these restriction areas, which is a lot of cities. So if your wood is slightly wet, then they're going to be putting these fines on you. £300 fine. It's just crazy. It's so crazy. Thanks for being a subscriber here, guys. And just a reminder, check out the monetary metals there. I'll put the link below in the description. All right. Take care. God bless you. God bless your family. And I'll see you on the next one.